still have time, 10 minutes more. So please, if you have questions, because the presentation will be like 35 minutes. So please, if you have questions about the content of the presentation, so please, at the end, so we'll give you the floor, so you can raise your hand, and then we'll give you the mic to ask our guest speaker. And please, for certificates, for everything, the PowerPoint, maybe I will ask, request Vance to share with me, and then I will share it with everyone. It's up. I don't know.
The link to the PowerPoint is on the screen right now.
Okay, lovely.
Oh, let's put that in the text chat.
Yeah, that's later. You can share it later. Or it's up to you if you want to share it right now.
Anybody can share it. Someone can copy it. They can share it.
Actually, I cannot do it because the PowerPoint is through Microsoft Teams. I cannot.
Okay, I will go into that window and find. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I know where I can do it. Okay. On this computer, yes. Okay. I have a second computer here. Okay, so this computer, I can paste in the chat.
Okay.
Be careful. This computer. Okay, so this one. If I put it in the chat, I'm not going to be able to come back to. I'm not going to be able to come back and put it here again. So.
So just I request them that we have 10 minutes. We can postpone their questions to the end of the session after 35 minutes. Also, the feedback link will be shared also. Will be shared after half an hour for attendance and feedback. Okay, and everything, the stuff, the certificate, even recording, the recording will be emailed to you. Okay, after filling the feedback or attendance and feedback link.
Okay.
So now we have 8 minutes to go, guys. So it can. Okay, we have people from Romania. We have people from Uzbekistan. Okay.
I've been watching so many countries: Palestine,
yeah,
Nigeria.
Mexico. I can see.
Do
Saudi Arabia, Oman, India. Okay.
Let's see.
Istanbul, Turkey. So please try to mute yourself, or I will do one thing.
Okay.
So please, during the presentation, please try to keep your mics muted, your camera off. Okay, I will do one thing.
Okay, anyway, I'm just checking something on this other computer, and it's irrelevant. It's not going to work today. Okay, so I'll leave that. Okay, anyway, I can see the text chat on this other computer. I can't see myself. I don't know if I can see myself in the bottom of the Windows screen.
You can, I think, if you want to, you can click inlet, so it will show that more focus on you. Now the more focus is on the PowerPoint. Now it's just like click on your photo. So now the more focus is in your photo, and now the PowerPoint is down with me.
Okay. I'm watching. I'm in the. I'm in the screen. I'm in the meeting on another window, and at the moment I don't see. I see that I'm presenting, but I don't see myself in this other window. So that means that in the meeting itself, I don't see myself. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're managing that.
But you see yourself from the second device, right?
One device I'm presenting from. The other device I'm watching what's happening, and I'm watching the chat box, and I'm also watching the slide presentation. But I don't see any. I don't see my video here. Team Bomber.
Okay, guys, just I want to tell you, please try to keep your mics muted.
Okay.
Or I will disable the mics now.
Ah, spotlight me. Here we go. Okay, spotlight me.
Yeah, you can.
Spotlight for everyone. Okay, just see how that works. How do I spotlight myself? Okay, spotlight me. No, I can see myself. I don't see myself still on the recorded screen. But I don't really use Teams, so I don't know what's going on.
But you are seen by others, okay?
Oh. Okay, it's just that I'm watching. I've entered the meeting, and I'm watching what everyone should see. Anyway, it's okay. Not to worry. At least I have a chat over here, and I have a slideshow showing. So I'll take your word for it that everything is fine.
That's okay. We still have, 3 minutes.
You've been recording for 26 minutes.
It depends now when the recording starts.
According to the timer here, it looks like it's just turned 27 minutes on the recording. Oh, it's recording by whom?
Sometimes it depends when people try to enter into the chat or into the meeting.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry recording. I'm sorry. Okay, guys, I think time to go. Till now we have 79, okay, or 80 from different countries. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you can hear me well. Ladies and gentlemen, with the pleasure and honor, and on behalf of English Language Center, University of Technology and Applied Sciences, Ibri, Oman, we'd like to welcome our guest speaker, Van Stevens. Is speaking to us or talking to us from Malaysia, Penang. And let me introduce him to you. Van Stevens hosts the podcast series Learning Together with over 515 episodes. He founded the Country of Practices Webheads in Action in 2002 and has coordinated TESOL call as Electronic Village Online since 2003. He has been a lead moderator of Evo Minecraft MOOC since 2015. He received the 2019 Call Research Conference Lifetime Achievement Award. So let's all welcome Van Stevens, and the stage is yours.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
So please, I want to just remind others, please keep your mic muted, please. Millie.
Are you able to mute everyone like we did yesterday and just leave me speaking?
Yes, I can. Okay, let me try this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you are muted. Okay.
I can't. Ah, yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
now.
Now we,
Okay.
yes.
I see where. I think you muted me. I'm unmuted now. I don't. Is everyone else muted? Anyway, I'll go ahead and begin. Okay. So there is a link at the top of this. It's a bit.ly link, and the bit.ly slash is to Vance 2021 UTAS webinar, and that's where my slide presentation is. I put that link in the text chat earlier. Maybe someone else could repeat that, because otherwise I won't be able. Oh, maybe I could just paste it here. Let's see if I can paste that link here. Yes, the link is still there. Okay, I still have the link in my buffer. All right, so that's the link where the slides are. So if you want to follow the slides, you can. Okay, so this is me. Okay, I'm Vance, and I will just continue. Okay, so I plan to speak for 35 minutes, but I could be going for 50 minutes if you really wanted me to. So anyway, we're talking today about communities of practice, and this is a graphic that shows, first of all, Etienne Wenger, who is with LAV, wrote a book in which they coined the term community of practice. And if you had the slides here, it looks like, yeah, my slides are hot. I can click on the links. That's good. So you can click on the links too if you get the slideshow. A community practice is a group of people who share a concern or a passion for something they do, and they want to learn how to do it better as they interact in a community. And there are three aspects to it. There's a domain, there's the thing you want to talk about, and the practice is how you make it better, how you do it, and then the community. So those are three important aspects of communities of practice. You can know you're in a community practice if you have those three things. So my talk today is how communities of practice interact in distributed personal learning networks, continually leverage everyone's professional development, and model ways to be applied later in teaching practices. And if you're following the slides, there's an article I wrote in which I put this diagram, which I'm about to show you. So I'm going to take this diagram through groups, communities, and networks. So, you know, a group of people is whoever you're with right now. That's a group. If you expand your group into a community, let's say your group is your household, you might live around other households, and these people, they form your community. So that's a physical community. Of course, we also have communities of learners, other kinds of communities. So as we've just shown you, a community of practice is the same thing. It's not like your neighborhood, because a community of practice has a domain, something they're passionately interested in, and they have a practice, something they want to learn how to do better, and then they're part of the community. A network can be much wider than a community. A network is where we network with other people. For example, if you listen to a podcast about language teaching, the person you listen to is probably in your network, although he might not be in your community, he or she. So the interactions within networks look something like this. Some people do research where they track how people interact with each other, and sometimes they have a strong person who interacts more than others, and those network diagrams go through him. So The interesting thing about a network is that each person in the network is a node. And the smartest node in the network, let's say the smartest node in the network is this guy over here with the bright eyes. And let's see, I'm down here in this part of the network, and I want to learn something from this, from the smartest person in the network. Since I connect with other networks and they connect with this person, we all have a connection to the smartest person in the network, and therefore we have access to his knowledge. Now, or his or her knowledge. So we're going to see a little bit more how that works. It's a very important aspect of networks. So I'm going to give a few examples of some communities of practice. This is one from something we did when I started Webheads in Action. There's more about Webheads in Action here. Webheads in Action was one of my first communities of practice. I started it in 2002. It's still live and viable. And we have in that community, I have at the end of the slides ways that you can join these communities. So at the time, in 2005, when we started doing the Webheads in Actions online convergence, we used to all go to online conferences, but we had to pay for them. And there weren't really any conferences put together by people who just wanted to do it, like Faisal is doing today. So at that time, we decided that Webheads in Action, our community practice, could put on our own conference. And so we did that in 2005, some long time ago. We got people together. We set up the portals for it. We got speakers. We did this in 2005, 2007, 2009. These are 3-day conferences, 72 hours with very little sleep. And we did it 3 years in a row. And after 3 years of that, not 3 years in a row, sorry, every 2 years for 3 times. So after the 3rd time we did it, I decided I wasn't going to do that anymore. And I started learning together, which is a different story. But and if you want to find out more about this, you can click on any of these links here, and they should just open. Not sure what. Yeah, here we go. Yep, opens in my browser here. All right, it's kind of slow though. All right, so anyway, you can click on any link here, and you can find out more about that link. All right, so there are 3 people in 2007 who talked to us. One was Stephen Downs, another was George Siemens, and the 3rd one was Etienne Wenger. We had 4 other speakers as well. These were the plenary speakers. Etienne Wenger, I've already introduced to you. Stephen Downs and George Siemens figure in what we're talking about today. Stephen Downs is a Canadian researcher who is he has many areas of expertise. One of them is knowledge, how knowledge is distributed in networks. George Siemens wrote a paper on connectivism. He called it Connectivism, Learning Theory for the Digital Age. He wrote this in 2004. Connectivism has become very prominent. We're going to talk about it here in this talk. Stephen and George got together in 2008 and formed and made the first MOOC. There wasn't the name MOOC back then. People didn't know what to call them. One of the participants called it a MOOC, a massive open online course. And so they put that together in 2008. And well, basically, it's another, those MOOCs that followed are other exemplary examples of communities of practice and network learning. Now, Stephen, in the talk that he gave to us in 2007, talked about what he called connectionist at that time. Connectionist is a different theory, but what he says about connectionism is very close to, you could read connectivist there from what he says about it. So looking at the old model of expert systems where why don't they work? That's what he was, why don't they really? Expert systems are good for teaching discrete skills. Like, for example, if you want to teach a language, you could devise an algorithm to teach people how to conjugate verbs. But to actually get them to produce a language, or actually learn a language, is something that expert systems that address discrete learning don't do. They're Cartesian, they're algorithmic, but in fact, knowledge is not derived linearly, but it's pattern driven. So that's what connectivism does, because that's what we're talking about in the right-hand side of this slide. He said at the time it was an appropriate model for educational technology. Siemens in 2004 wrote an article where he said connectivism was appropriate to the digital learning, the age of digital learning. Formulaically, he said that sum of all knowledge in a network is total knowledge in the network. That's not too relevant just now, but anyway, knowing derives from developing competencies for accessing nodes where knowledge resides. Now, what Siemens said in his 2004 article was a famous statement that said the pipes are more important than the content of the pipes. And what he meant by pipes, these arrows are the pipes that connect you with other nodes in the network. And if you keep those pipes clear and those pipes functioning, then you can get at any knowledge in the network, as I pointed out. So that's the most important thing about networked learning, which follows a model of how people actually learn. And the last point he made was that it's ineffable. What that means, ineffable means you can't very easily tell anybody about it, but you have to experience it. So it's something you can only know by experiencing. Okay. More about Stephen Downes, because he's the Leonardo da Vinci of openness, I think. He lives at downes.ca. He lives up in Moncton, Canada, and he puts everything online. So he said at the 2007 conference that I was talking about just now, he said that teachers model and demonstrate, and learners practice and reflect. And he has modeled and demonstrated connective learning behaviors to me as I interact with him, sometimes in webinars, sometimes through reading his works or following his newsletters. He models to me behaviors which I have reflected on and then practice. And so in my work with teachers, I now model and demonstrate these methods to others, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, means that the people who are modeled to will possibly change their practice and absorb some of the things that that we're modeling. And the end of the line is your students. Your students, how do your students become autonomous learners? That's what we're going to find out. They have to have those behaviors modeled for them. So just an interesting thing over here. This is from the bottom of Stephen's web pages. Let's see if I think that's not okay. This one. Okay, so let's see if you want to read his ebooks. Let's have a look at what he's got here. This is downes.ca. At the bottom of his homepage, you can read any of these ebooks. Let's see. You can read his articles, his presentations. You can replay his presentations. He records almost everything. A habit he got started in me some time ago. Here's something he presented on connectivism a month ago. Okay, so anyway, you can really learn a lot from Stephen. If you're looking for a community guru, he's the exemplary example, I think, of how openness works in learning networks. Okay, let's see. This we're trying to present. Am I presenting? Yes, okay, there we are. Okay, so getting over to a couple of communities of practice that I've started. I base my communities of practice in Electronic Village Online. Electronic Village Online, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's another community that you could become involved in if you want. It's at evosessions.pbworks.com. We just had yesterday, a a 20-year celebration of its anniversary, and all that will be linked somewhere from evosessions.com. Here's the evosessions.pbworks.com, and here's what that page looks like. And if you want to join EVO, you need to wait for the call for proposals if you want to propose a session, call for participation in January or December, actually. You can go there and you can join EVO sessions. And here's more about the ceremony we had last night. Okay, so that started 20 years ago, so that's 2001. And in 2002, I started Webheads in Action, which was a community of practice. It started out as an EVO session, but it became a community of practice because it still exists. So you can find out a lot more about it at webheads.info. Webheads.info has these links up at the top. For example, if you want to see, this came from something called Writing for Webheads, which was in 1998. I was teaching students who sent us their pictures, and they communicated with each other back in 1998, and a lot of teachers joined us, and so eventually we became Webheads in Action. Let's see, Webheads in Action. Where's that? This is it right here. This is the session I put on in 2002. The same thing. We got teachers to join, and they sent us their pictures. And then eventually, they're still active nowadays. So it's a very strong community of practice. And in 2004, I started something called Multimuc. That was another really nice community of practice. If you go to that link, you can go to its portal. You can see the archives for 10 years. So everything that I produce, I try to keep it open and accessible for free. More recently, I did two interesting communities of practice. One was Talon, Teaching and Learning in Isolation, and another one was EVO Minecraft MOOC. I did EVO Minecraft MOOC first, but let's look at Talon, because Talon started last year as the pandemic was getting going. I was teaching an e-learning course. It was on for a limited time because it was as an English language specialist. And that course, when it ended, I wanted to keep a community going. So I started the Talon community. I just clicked on a link to go to its webpage. This is its portal. My cat should come up in a minute. Or actually, we should just jump down to the webinars. Yeah, so I clicked on the link to the webinars. We did 38 webinars. They're all recorded here. And they're excellent examples of how the community shares with one another. Having a slow load in here. Some of the pictures and things. But anyway, basically all the webinars we did are there. People like Graham Stanley, Heike Philp, Vicky Saumel, Gavin Dudney gave a presentation. We had Nick Peachy, Lane Marshall. So lots of people you may or may not know. So that's Talon, a way of, it's a good example of a community of practice because we had a domain. The domain, I suppose, was what to do about the pandemic, teaching during COVID, and the practice. How can we best bootstrap ourselves in this? And the community formed. And the community, by the way, is a Facebook group, so you can go there. Here's a Facebook group. You can go there and join it if you want. But what I really wanted to talk about was EVO Minecraft MOOC, because EVO Minecraft MOOC is something that started that really illustrates the power of communities of practice. I wanted to learn about Minecraft, so I started EVO Minecraft MOOC because communities of practice are very good at several things. They help practitioners see learning through digital age paradigms. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. They put participants in the position of having to learn independently within the COP. Nobody really tells you what to do in the COP. You learn from each other. You're doing that shared knowledge, equal and sharing partners in the learning process. They promote autonomous learning. I mean, how are you going to learn in a COP? No one tells you what to do. You have to do it yourself. Or you have to find a way. You have to find appropriate learning behaviors, and you get those possibly from other participants in the community. And then the really important thing for us is that we can model these for our students. So in the case of Minecraft, I wanted to learn something really difficult, and that was how to do Minecraft. I needed a community to help me. I couldn't, the existing communities had mostly children in them, and adults were not welcome in these communities. So I needed to go from zero to hero. I knew nothing about Minecraft. I started a community of practice by opening an AVO session. I got other people to join the community. One of them, very knowledgeable, started a server for us. We were basically working to master Minecraft well enough to function in a COP of other learners, which was basically our teachers. So teachers are learners. They have to be learners. And our goal is to scaffold one another to the point where we would be comfortable with and effective in using Minecraft with students. And recently, my wife, Bobby, and I taught a webinar in getting started in Minecraft, what to do when you turn up in world and you have nothing and you have to survive. So it's a nice little video. If you want, you can watch it there. Okay, I'm going to pop out of that. How can I unshare? I need to go down to the, okay, I'm going to unshare for a second. And the reason I'm doing that is because anything I click here plays that video. Somehow that didn't work. Okay, so, okay, here we go. Okay, I'm going to present from here. Is everybody happy? Anything I should attend to in the chat? I'm going to talk now about the paradigm shifts that I mentioned. So I wrote a couple of places about that. One of them was in this article in Thessaly J, where I played with these ideas. There were my ideas, 10 paradigm shifts across communities and networks that teachers need to make. 10 years later, possibly a lot of you have done this. You can check and see, this is your checklist of paradigm shifts, hopefully, that you've made. Hopefully your pedagogy has moved from teaching models to more learning ones. So you're emphasizing not teaching students, but learning, getting them to learn. Networking, as we've mentioned, it's not something, learning is not something you do in isolation, but it's something that you connect with others to do, as with Minecraft. If I want to learn Minecraft, I need to form a community, I need to connect. Literacy has changed quite a lot. It used to be, at the turn of the century, print literacy. We had gatekeepers controlling what got published. But now we've gone on to multiliteracies. That is, you send videos, voice on your cell phone. You use so many different ways. You have to be literate in these things. Heuristics refers to breaking out of the top-down client-server relationships between where the knowledge is and peer-to-peer relationships where you can get knowledge in parallel, not top-down. And formality has to do, formality is power-centric, and we need informal models where it doesn't matter if you don't know. You can say you don't know because you're encouraged to explore, discover, even embrace failure if that's a way of knowing. Looking at the next column, transfer of knowledge moves from lecture mode to guidance modes. So I know we used to do a lot of work at teacher talk in class. If teachers are talking too much, that sort of suggests that they're in lecture mode. We want students to be sharing, getting involved in class. Directionality of knowledge, going from push to pull. So people are pushing information at you all the time. We say, in fact, it's a fire hose. And what you want to do is you want to get something, sip from the fire hose and get the things that you want. You need to develop ways of filtering what you want to see in the knowledge stream. Ownership is very important. Here at the bottom of the page, my work is
Hello.
Okay, guys, I think that there is problem from his side. I think I'm trying to contact him. I think it's like a technical problem or issue from our guest speaker from Penang, Indonesia. Uh, so please try to be patient. Okay, and please wait. Okay, guys, just I'm trying to contact him. Okay, I'll try to call him. I think there is a technical issue from his side. It's not from our side. It's okay. Just please be patient. Please wait.
All right, am I back?
Vance, I think maybe it's from your side. Just because your voice is cutting. It's like okay. They said something that there is a problem with your voice even.
Oh, I don't know. I should be fine. But is there a problem right now, or is
now it's okay. So now
okay?
you can
Okay.
share.
Okay. Do you want me to continue from a certain point? Okay, I've got to share here. Let me see if I just have to get where I can find the window that I had open. Okay, I need that one. What's the last thing you heard? What slide was I on?
Yeah, this is a good question for the participants.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it was regarding pull and push factor. I mean, in certain scenarios, teachers push their knowledge towards these students, while in some other scenarios, they pull. So you were actually telling us the difference between push and pull sort of scenarios.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I'll take it from there, because actually this part is interesting to me in any event. Okay, so if I go now to the Teams app, okay, Teams app. So I share from here. Okay, sorry about that. These things happen, you know. Let's see, I want to share a window, and there's the window right there. Okay. How are we doing? Are we back in action? Okay, let's see if I go back. Okay, I finished. Okay, now I've got it back on my computer here. Okay, so are we okay now?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, good. All right, fine. Okay, so I was talking about folksonomies and taxonomies. I was just going through. I don't know if you heard the whole thing. Was I on this slide before, or was I just talking about push-pull?
This slide.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so basically, in a nutshell, you can all see the slide. So folksonomies define how we organize things in a world where we can connect through tagging, as opposed to taxonomies, which was an old way of doing things. Am I showing my video? I don't know if it matters. Anyway, is my video? Yeah, I think it must be on. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to do a couple of experiments here. I searched for your institute on Twitter. I searched on University of Technology and Applied Sciences. Did you see me talk about this before? Basically, if I search on the name of the, and by the way, since I'm watching the chat, if you want to tell me there's anything wrong, that's where you should put it. So if I search on the name of your institute, I see some things that I'm looking for. I was looking for webinars that you'd already given, but I'm looking here and I don't see many tags. I saw English, for example. There's a tag, Mogalal. Okay, so yes. Okay, so those things are. This is one way to use Twitter. I can search on something in Twitter. Now, to give you an example of a webinar I gave a week ago, it was at GD Goenka University in India, near Delhi. And there's a tag here. I search on the tag, I can pull up all kinds of things about previous webinars because they're tagged with this tag. So the tags aggregate the content into this to where you can pull out information that I'm looking for at that university about webinars because they have a tag. Let me show you another thing. So I decided to create a tag for your webinar series. I just called it UTAS webinar because the folksonomies are sloppy. It means it might not be the tag that you would use. You can make your own, but just to see what happens, I just made I tweeted about the webinar I was going to give, and this is the tweet. So I can go to search on just that tag, and it pulls up anything tagged UTAS webinar. Now, if you want to play with this, you could create tweets. Say you're listening to Vance S at UTAS webinar with a tag, and see if they come up in this tweet stream. We could try it later while you're listening to the rest of my presentation. Okay. All right. So anyway, by the way, in my workshops in Thailand, I played tag games with people. I created exercises that people could do in class to aggregate content, post photos, tag them, a certain tag, and then we all pull them all together. The photos that people were taking in the classroom. So, okay, coming rapidly toward the end. These slides were from an article I wrote in about a multiliterate autonomous learner. I was quite interested. I was actually do some work on learner autonomy at one time. And the point of this is that how do we get autonomous students? We need autonomous teachers. How do we get autonomous teachers who can model the autonomous behaviors to their students? And communities of practice are how teachers need to learn. So going from what Down said, teachers need to model and demonstrate, but also to practice and reflect. Otherwise, they need to teach and learn at the same time. And they need to learn from people who are going to model outcomes that they expect with their students. There is evidence that when teachers do not model connectivist methods, then their learners express or display discomfort with them. And there's a link here you can follow to get you to a blog post that I wrote where this was stated as such. She says that the students who were taught using connectivist methods became comfortable using technology in their ongoing teacher training, whereas avoidance by teachers of technology tended to harbor discomfort and avoidance in their students who didn't feel technology was relevant to their work. Now, this was 10 years ago, but still it's relevant because people are not always performing, they're not always modeling these behaviors. So also on the topic of shifting paradigms, I wrote something, a chapter in a book, Shifting Sands, Shifting Paradigms, because it was about the UAE. And it quoted some research there, which has moved, so I put the new link there. So this is about the importance of students using these Web 2 methods, connectivist methods. So it says when teachers don't model the skills, teachers don't model the skills because they're not themselves proficient in the most current technologies. So, for example, they're not using social networking as a means of extending their own professional development. This important becomes clear in this study by a Committee of Inquiry on the Joint Information Systems Committee, whose link is here now. They found that using web technologies leads to development of a new sense of communities of interest and networks, group spaces, social spaces such as Facebook, and that there's an area within the boundaries of these so-called group spaces that could be developed to support learning and teaching. And most important, the process of engaging Web 2.0 as a skill set conforms with views of what 21st century employers need: communication skills, leadership, technology proficiency, things like that. So this suggests that teachers should be trained not only in the use of social media, but through its use. So this has to come into teacher training, and as you're doing today, you're listening to a lot of webinars that people are using these tools with you, and hopefully you're able to model them for your students. So I came on to a buzzword myself. I call it SMAL, social media assisted language learning. I wrote some articles. Well, I gave presentations. I was doing this last year, really. Thinking small about social media. Why not call small? Because someone else wrote an article with a similar title. Okay. Anyway, I'm not going to go and talk about all that, but if you're interested, you can see the presentations. You can read the materials and think about: are we doing call or small social media assisted language learning? In conclusion, teachers who practice autonomy in their own professional development formulate heuristics for harvesting knowledge within their personal learning spaces, and then they stand a better chance of inculcating the desired behaviors in their students, thus increasing the likelihood of producing potentially autonomous and lifelong learners. It's a percolative process, though, so in order to teach, that is, model and demonstrate, you have to constantly learn and relearn by practicing behaviors and reflecting on them. So that's my point, I suppose. Let me just continue a little bit to show you if you want to get involved in COPs. You all have these slides, so let's see if I got this. This might still be in here. Okay, so got this in the buffer. Yes, the slides link is still in my buffer where I'm pasting. Okay, so if you go to that link, you can find the links to get into Electronic Village Online. If you're interested in Minecraft, you could join EVO Minecraft MOOC or Multiple Literacies. It's not really very active at the moment. There is still a Facebook group, people still posting to webinar announcements. Learning Together is the most active group I do regularly. There's a Facebook group for that, portal page, a wiki where we announce our events. Webheads in Action can also still be joined at the Facebook group. There's also a groups IO list, which is email. Okay, and oh, by the way, I was asked today to talk about, to sort of replicate something I talked about earlier, but I didn't think it was necessary to do that exactly because I recorded all of that as well. So if you go to hear what I talked about at Blue Ocean, the webinar there, you can see the slides, you can play the recording, and you can visit that web page there. Okay, how do I get on without playing the video? Let's see if I'm not sure how to do this really. Let's see if I try to go one more ahead. No. Yep, there we go. I got it. Okay. So thank you very much for your interest. I'm Vance Stevens, and I have a couple of links where you can find out more about me, and you can find the slides online. And by the way, the reason I post these Creative Commons notices here is because I am following Stephen Downes' model to break out of the proprietary ownership of work and to share it through a community so that everyone can learn from that. Okay, thank you very much. Let me start the share.
Okay, thank you very much, Van Stevens, for your wonderful, amazing, and informative presentation. So guys, if you have questions, you can raise your hand. I think Vance will see the hand. So
yeah, I was having trouble finding how to stop the share. Let's see.
Okay, so you can raise your hand if you have questions. And regarding the recording, everything will be emailed to you. And now I will paste the link for attendance and feedback. I want you to fill it. And if you have questions, please raise your hand.
Yeah, I have a question. How do I stop the share? I can't find the window for that.
It's okay. Just go to the same thing. Control Shift E.
Oh, hang on a minute. Stop sharing. Yes.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing. Okay.
Okay, I got it. Okay, I found it.
Okay, I think my colleagues will help me. So please, if you have questions, you can unmute yourself, and you can ask Vance directly, or you can raise your hand. You can write your questions in the chat box if you need.
My chat window is over here.
Okay, I already post the link for attendance and feedback about the session. So you are requested to fill it or fill the form there.
Okay.
And my colleagues will help to copy the link again.
So I get a chat over here.
Can you see questions? Myself, my colleagues will help me.
Okay, I see. Thanks. Thank you, sir and coordinator. This is really generous, etc. Where's the link? Which link? Somebody wants
the link for the
feedback. The link for the form, for the feedback.
Yeah. Form, okay.
Okay. You are welcome. أهلا وسهلا.
Okay.
مبسوط أحد بكم. Questions are coming.
It's already there. This is the link. Okay. I shared from my mobile, and my colleagues will help me. My colleagues, Michelle and Muhammad. So please, now it's time for questions. Please, if you have questions, you can ask me. Okay, Michelle, please can you help me or Muhammad to repost the link again?
Yes, thank you for my nice presentation. Thank you very much. I'm quite happy to do that. I like to do this kind of thing. It helps me to learn. The best way to learn something is to teach it. You know that? So when you have to organize your teaching, that's when you really learn. You finalize you push it to the next level.
Vance, I'm so happy really to learn more about the community practices. Now, okay, and the thing that I like about like hashtag, I'm using Twitter. How can we use it effectively with a student? What are the ways, or how can let the student or use it effectively in our teaching?
I've done this in the past. Let's see. I don't. Let's see. Well, suppose you wanted to. Let's say you use Twitter to take questions. You know, about every course that I set up has a tag. So.
Okay.
Maybe I can show you some examples. Let's see if I can I start sharing again? I'll see if I can.
Yeah, you can. You can share again.
Okay. Yeah, I can show you some. Let's see if I can find out what to share. What do I share? Here we go. Okay, grab this. I guess it's a browser window. Okay. Let's see if I go over to. I don't want that. Let's see. I want to do the workshops I did in Thailand before. Workshops. Yes, that's it. Okay, so this is a course of workshops to teachers that I gave in Thailand, but I also taught some students there. Let's see if I can find where in my sidebar here. Just move that over here. Okay, so I want to find where I did the aggregations. Aggregations, yes, where it says aggregations from all the workshops. Okay, so each one of these, you see there's a tag here. For example, this one, it ranks at university. I gave it the tag Jan 20 RELI. And if we just look there and see what people did, okay, so I asked them to take pictures or whatever and then tag their pictures with that tag. Now, let's see. Well, we had some tweets. So if I let's see. Okay, so if these are the tweets they produced. So Mong tweeted her reaction to. So people are tweeting, and the reason we're getting these tweets is that they're aggregating on that tag for just that workshop. And then other workshops had their own tags as well. Let's see. How did I get out of that? Okay, so yes, okay, so we tagged Facebook, Instagram, Google Photos. Let's see. I'm not sure which of these are going to be productive, but maybe Facebook. Let's see what people put on Facebook. So wherever people were posting, when you have a tag, you aggregate content on that tag. And as a teacher, here's some pictures that people posted on the Facebook pages. So again, we get a view, we get content from the workshop. So if you had a project for students, let's say, and you could have, they can post reactions, or they could actually post content somewhere, links to content, and tag it so that you can find it. So it's very productive. All this is done in a day. You know, the same day people use these tags, and they came out on these sites, which is, you know, it can be used in any kind of class. And also, I don't know if anybody has reached the tag that I did earlier. Let's see how that came out. Okay, so one bit further. Okay, this one here. If anybody has tagged anything today, it would appear here in the search. And no one has. But this is something you could do in your own webinars. You could create a tag for it. This is just one possible tag. But if you create a tag and use it consistently, then you can aggregate content for your webinars here. So working with, it's easier to answer that question when we have tangible projects we can see. But to do it with students, you have to be thinking in the same way. How can you use these tools, which are readily available and everybody's using, to aggregate content in imaginative ways? I stop the share.
Actually, no, because we are teaching now in a conservative society. So I think, like, for the girls, they cannot. I mean, we can use like assuming names, not real names. You know.
You can. Yes, you can.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, I think there is one hand raised. So please, could you please unmute your mic and then you ask your question, please? Oni BD. Please, if you hear me, you can unmute yourself, or I can do it for yourself. Okay.
This is my favorite drink, iced tea. This is iced tea.
Yeah, I try it in Malaysia. I try it. Yeah. Okay. Can you see the hand? Can you see the hands raised, Vance?
Yes, I see one for thank you, sir.
Alexander and Omni. So please, Alexander, can you please unmute yourself?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
Good afternoon from Pretoria in South Africa. I just want to say how delighted I am that I joined in this workshop, because I'm an older educator, and some of us are always like shying away from using social media and technology, but you've made it so simple and so interesting. So my question is, how do we get to be part of the community of practice, but more importantly, will you be willing, for example, to give this kind of seminar or webinar, to teachers in secondary school in Africa?
Well, you can always write and ask.
Okay.
I generally accept if I'm not busy, or I just had an operation recently, so I was going to slow down a little bit, but that's okay. Anyway, write me. I'm quite happy. I'll answer your mail. Just mention that you were here.
Thank you. And where's the email? Your email address?
Yeah, let me put it in the chat.
Thank you very much, sir.
Sure. Actually, if you go to my links, they are on my page. I don't keep my email secret. I do filter things, though.
I also want to comment, sir, your generosity and your openness with scholarship, and with all that you have done, and pointing us to other people that we can really relate with. I think that is something that is still lacking in most places in academia, because people are hoarding and they don't want you to know what is happening, what they are doing, and to find somebody who is just really open and wanting other people to learn from what he has done. I think that is where we should be going. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And the reason I share is that so other people will share with me. So learning is mutual. It's not done in isolation. You get a community together, you learn from your community, and the way you do that is by sharing with your community.
Okay, thank you. I think there is another hand raised. I don't know if you can hear me, please. Could you please unmute yourself and ask your question? I don't know.
I hear someone. Yeah, someone is connected.
Yeah, some people are still joining us, because I sent the invitation to many people because of time difference. So some people join, some people leave.
Well, you know, if you want to have a party, you have to invite everybody. Your parties will be wonderful. If you only invite a couple of people, you get a few of those attend, and it's boring. So it's better to just open it up.
It's we'll do it like publicly. Yes. Okay, guys. I think okay. Michelle, can you see any questions from the chat box? Muhammad, could you please help me or help us? Any questions, please? I think no questions.
Okay.
I think okay. No. One raised. Okay. I think okay. Yasuni, please.
So this is Tasawwur Ali, all the way from Pakistan, saying salam and hello to you. It was wonderful listening to you and was wonderful learning from you. But my question is that, I mean, I've read somewhere because I've done my research on blended learning. I conducted a class in which it was basically a longitudinal study in which I had a cohort on which I applied blended learning. I just wanted to see whether it made any difference upon the learning outcomes of these students or not. My question to you is that I've read it somewhere that this blended learning or technology-based learning or any sort of learning, face-to-face, or whatever the form of learning it is, it should be need-driven sort of a thing. Need should be the first thing. I mean, that should be catered for. I mean, if there's no need, one should not go for online teaching and learning. But presently, as we can see that in our scenario, COVID-19 has topsy-turvy just everything. So I'll just make my question shorter by just asking you that what was the need for you to go for blended learning? I mean, what made you go for blended learning rather than the traditional learning or the actual phase, purely online-based learning and teaching?
I've been doing blended learning for a very long time. I've always, every course I teach, I make a wiki and I put the syllabus and I put all the information for the course and day-to-day things that students should do in a wiki. Now, and that's because I prefer that to using Blackboard or something like that. Sometimes I've used Blackboard, which is also another blended learning environment, because students it tends to be used with face-to-face students. So until 2 years ago, I didn't do any purely online teaching of students, except for the ones that I referred to in my talk. Now, what this does is it makes the class much more efficient. There's so many inefficiencies in class if you don't keep a space that students can refer to very quickly for your class. As whereas they could go to Blackboard and find a course syllabus, or they have a textbook, they could fumbling around looking for places in the textbook or whatever. If you use blended learning, you can get students on the page that you want them to be on. You can start the class very efficiently. If someone says you didn't know what the assignment was, well, it's right there in the wiki. If someone misses a class, they can see what went on. And then another very important reason too is when remote teaching, what we call ERT, emergency remote teaching, when that happened, and in fact this is the message from the webinars I showed you from Talon, is that the people who were already doing blended learning were much more easily able to take that to the remote learning. They weren't so shocked. They already had the techniques, the background. They had already been interacting with their students online a little bit, so it wasn't so much a problem for them. Whereas people who were getting this for the first time, I was teaching blended learning courses in Thailand, as I mentioned, in early January 2020. There wasn't so much a need at the time. That is, people were coming to school and meeting face to face. They were starting to wear masks. Some were concerned, but the need happened during the e-learning course when I had left Thailand and I was just doing e-learning, and all of a sudden people were actually in the situation where they had to apply the techniques that I was, these techniques were a life raft to them. They didn't know what to do. If you look at my my e-learning blog from there, when a fellow posted on Facebook, I have no idea where to begin, So, but so that need arose very quickly, and when the need was there, then there came to be a lot of interest in it. Usually when there's a lot of interest in something, that's where a community might want to form. That's how a lot of people dealt with the COVID crisis, is they formed communities, they learned from one another, they shared information, and they've gotten around it as best they can. You know, I'm sure that doesn't work everywhere, but at least the situation has improved, and it's actually in some places going to normal. But anyhow, yeah, that's a good point. Need is definitely need. You never know when the need is going to come up, but blended learning just makes good sense.
You know what, sir? The same was the case with me as well. I had started teaching my students through blended learning, and I used to use that online part of it as a reservoir where all the things used to be saved. I mean, if any of these students missed any of my classes, I used to post them on social media or on other platforms like Google Classroom, etc., etc. So they could actually benefit. My students could benefit from there. But now, as you have given me a new term, you have actually introduced me to a new term, ERT, emergency-based, remote teaching and learning. Remote teaching. So now when my whole, what should I say? The whole institution has actually shifted online, and they are facing lots of problems, and I'm not facing any problem at all. I mean, sharing my things with them. I mean, Thank you very much for answering it in detail. Sure. I mean, it was a very comprehensive answer. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you for asking.
Okay, thank you. There is one more question. Because you want to enjoy the sunset.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah. It's pretty cloudy out, actually.
Really? It's almost 7, I think.
Okay. Well, what are the challenges of blended learning, especially in the time of crisis? You could go to the slides and click on those on the 38 webinars that we gave in the Talon series. They talked about exactly that. The challenges were overwhelming to a lot of people, but the solution is communities of practice, learning from one another, teachers getting together, finding ways online. I mean, they're going online to teach their students. They gravitated online to teach one another about how to deal with this. So every time you go online and meet somebody, you learn something. So if you meet another teacher, that's another learner, really. And it's, you learn from that. And then what you learn from that, you take into your situation, whether it's an emergency or it's something you started doing now for 6 months. But anyway, you have to learn. You have to learn in order to survive and do a good job.
Okay, Mohsen, I think. Mohsen, raise your hand, please.
Hey, this is Mohsen Khan from King Khalid University, Saudi Arabia. We are using here Blackboard. Will not take much time. My direct question is that how can we avoid plagiarism from online assessment?
Oh, that's good for another webinar. I might be able to find you articles I wrote about that, about how I dealt with it with my students who were constantly plagiarizing and turning in work they said it was theirs. The first, well, there are a couple of levels. First of all, you could Google it. If you suspect that something is plagiarized, you can Google it. Often that will turn up the problem. That's, I guess, my students were in the United Arab Emirates. Some sophisticated, some not. But anyway, so that worked a lot of times. But then, of course, you can buy plagiarism detection tools. And those are improving quite a bit. That's so if you have to deal with it on your own, I found that Google was a way to address writing, because I could identify people and show them that this is definitely not theirs. They would swear up and down, no, I wrote this, I did this, but no, it's obvious. So that's a quick.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, I think it's time now to say thank you very much, fans, for your wonderful, informative, amazing session. And I would like to say a big thank you for all of you guys. And have a nice day, if I can say nice. Okay. And let's meet you next Thursday. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. It's my pleasure. I always enjoy doing these things, and I learn a lot from them, and I learn from talking to other people, and I just get a lot of a charge out of this. It's my passion. So thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to talk to you about my passion.
Oh, thank you very much for you, and it's our pleasure and our honor to have you today.
Okay.
Okay, thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye then.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, insightful, powerful presentation for you, sir. Thank you so much. Osama Muhammad from Egypt. Good afternoon.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much, Ahmed.
Thank you, Sama. Thank you, Sama.
When could I get the link to this video, please? I joined in late.
Sure, please. We'll share everything as I told you. You need to fill the form, and then we'll get your email, and everything will be emailed to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
I think Muhammad Yassin. Muhammad Yassin is. I think Hans is going is up to. Okay, Muhammad, do you have a question, or you can send an email? I think no, because he raised his hand and then.
I have a question, please, if you give me a permission, sir.
Okay.
I'm confused about the blended learning and the flipped classroom learning. Can you show me the difference between the two topics, please?
Yes. Blended learning it has a different definition for different people, but what it means is that what's mostly understood to be is you're meeting online with people, and you're meeting face to face. There should be a face to face meeting, and then into that you're bringing online advantages. Now, flipped learning is where you construct the purpose of flipped learning is to move what you usually do in class to the online environment and do what people often do online, out of class into class. So if you think about it, that you probably have it is to teach something in class, and the students go home and do some homework, and they come back the next day, you present something else. Flipped learning is where you give the students the content before they come to class. And then when they come to class, you work with them instead of leaving that for home. And you can work with them in so many different ways. You can have students who didn't review the material. Okay, you do that. And then people who are ready for the next level. You can move up into the Bloom taxonomy much better face-to-face with the students, respond to them, get them doing projects in class, things that you might have given them to do at home, and then send them for the things that because you can make videos, explain things to them. You can, you can give them things to read at home that will prepare them, and so that's basically what flipped learning is. It could be blended learning in flipped learning. Okay, so flipped learning is specifically moving your perspective moving the focus from teaching outside of class and then working with students inside of class.
Thank you. Insightful. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay, I think. Okay, Vance. Thank you very much. It's okay. You can sneak and then you can escape. Okay, because people keep joining us because of time difference. So I'm going to close it. I mean.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Well, it's time. All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Nice to meet you all. And
thank you very much. Thank you all.
Have a good series. Okay. Bye bye.
Yes. Could we know the timetable of the other lectures or sessions later?
Yes,
okay. Yes. That's not for me. I'm out. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye, Vance. Okay. I think invitation will be sent. Okay. By email. Okay, bye-bye. No problem. So you will be updated, okay? Bye-bye.